And welcome back to the Say. We want to welcome Herbert Siguenza to the program. He is going to be in a one-man play about Pablo Picasso over at the Irvine Barclay. Herbert, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here, and I'm really excited to be at the Barclay.
Now, when did you first get introduced to Pablo Picasso? Was it as a child? I mean, I know you were interested in art as a child.
Yes, I grew up with the gift of drawing. I was born with the gift of drawing. Since I was a little kid, I drew. And so I already knew I was going to be an artist, even when I was a little kid. But then I saw a book about Picasso and his private life, and I was just thrilled to see this old man, with no shirt, hanging around, painting like a kid, with animals, with kids. And I told my mom, when I grow up, I want to be this guy. I love this old man. And she says, no, no, he's crazy. He's Picasso. He doesn't know how to paint, But I go, no, no, he's onto something.
Maybe you had a
Because
little.
he was an artist 24/7, and that's what I wanted to be. So he's always been a big hero.
How did that click for you as a kid? I mean, an artist, I know we're talking about artists because you're also in theater, you do voiceover work, you paint.
Mhm.
So what was it about that experience as a child that made you know this is just for me, this is what I want to do?
It was his lifestyle. I saw an old man that was still a kid, and basically I'm still a kid, I still do, I do plays, it's called a play for no, and my life is, I don't take life very seriously. It is serious, but on the other hand, what I do, I love, because it's basically playing and being creative. And that's what Picasso preached, to be creative 24/7, 24 hours a week. He did.
Now you've been doing this show for a while, but this is kind of a reworkshopped version of the original show you've been doing for about 10 years, right?
Yes, about 10 years, more traditional play, in other words, where it's a full set, with a lot of props and things. But what I love about this version that Los Angeles Theater Works is producing is that they're known for their audio/performances. And so it's a lot simplified. It concentrates more on the script, on what the script is saying, which is tremendous. And I have, there's no set, but there is a lot of visuals, of video visuals, and there's painting, live painting that I do. And all the visuals in the show are mine. They're not Picasso's.
Okay, so you're up there creating what that artist background, right? So you can at least
Yeah.
get the neighborhood of what Picasso would have done, right?
Yeah. So this is my ultimate expression as an artist. I'm able to act and I'm able to paint at the same time, which is great.
Well, let me ask you this. It's a one-man show. You're you. That's it. You're up there, and there's no one to go to. There's no one to get. I mean, so what is that like in terms of? I know you've done collaborative theater. You worked with folks, improv, and all, and scripted stuff. But
Yeah.
up there and saying, "This is just me up there." Is it feel a little bit raw sometimes?
Yes, it's a little overwhelming. It's like a tightrope, but you practice and you just feel confident on that tightrope. And I think that, because I always wonder, how do these guys do tightrope, but it's the same. It's the same thing. You just practice, you get confident, and I'm just really confident as a painter. And I think that really shows in the show.
Do
I'm
you
really fast.
see Saturday shows the same as Sunday show in terms of are you memorizing every single thing and just doing everything to verbatim, or is you kind of like going through moments and segments and like I'm going to talk about this part of Pablo's life or whatever it might
No,
be?
it's consistent. It's a consistent script, otherwise I'd be nuts. I'd go nuts. I would lose my place, I think. No, but it's a very complex script. It's really heavy on his philosophy, his process of art, and how does an artist stay hungry after all those years. He was very successful. I interpret him while he was 76 in 1957 in the south of France, and basically he has to produce 6 paintings and 3 vases over the weekend. And that's his challenge. And so the audience, is like, they're like art students. They're in his studio while he's talking about this order that he has to do.
Okay. Now, as an artist, we always evolving, always changing. In the 10 years since you've been doing this, what has changed for you in doing this one-man show?
That's a great question. I think I've become a better actor for sure. I'm older now. I'm more experienced, so I think that acting is more subtle now. I'm older, so I've aged into the character. Like I said, I do him as 76. I'm not 76 yet,
So that
but
moment.
but I can, I can age into him, I started it when I was in my 50s. So, I'm saying there's a big difference between your 50s and your 60s. You slow down, but you also have more experience. I'm also a better painter. Over the 10 years I paint better and I emulate his style much closer. And so all those things come into play.
Over the years, what has anything come to you? Have you discovered something about Picasso that you didn't really realize, or you thought you knew one way, and now you're interpreting it another way? As you dive deeper and deeper into this person.
It's interesting you bring that up because Picasso, as you know, lately in the past 2, 3, 4 years, he's been under a lot of scrutiny.
Right.
His character, right? And I'm like, this is a guy from the 20th century, 19th century, all those guys back there, Hemingway, Miller, all those guys were, if you compare them to men now, yeah, they were masochistic, right? And they were kind of douches, they were, but that was how my grandfather was. That's how that's my experience.
You have to, folks have, it's a time and a place in our society, and all society in the world. As we evolve as people, we're getting
Mhm.
better at doing those things, but there was a time when it wasn't as great. And so,
Yeah, and that's just the way it was. And I'm not excusing it, but I'm sure not trying to hide that either. He
right.
talks about his masochism in the play. He does talk about how he treated some of his wives. But he's not embarrassed about it either. He's like, I am who I am.
Now, let's talk real quick about some other things you've been doing over the years. You were one of the voices in Coco. How did that come about?
Yes, I'm really proud of that. I was a cultural consultant for the film. As you know, they really did get it right. They really did ask a lot of consultants to come and see the rough drafts and the script. And I was up there in Emeryville, where they have where the campus is, the what was it called?
Pixar.
The yeah, Pixar. Pixar campus is up there, and I was up there, around the table with all the big wigs, and then I go, I can do voices. And they're like, oh yeah, yeah, you're with Culture Clash, you're with that comedy group Culture Clash. I said, yeah, yeah, think of me. And sure enough, they did. They called me the next month, and I went up there to record the two voices for the uncles, Uncle Felipe and Uncle Oscar.
Or you could have said "Remember Me," which is one of the songs from the movie.
Yeah, I sang it.
Beautiful. Honestly, one of the most beautiful Disney movies, Pixar movies I'd ever seen, just in terms of the color and the beauty of
Yeah, yeah, it's beautifully done.
the theater. I thought this is just an incredible film, and it will
And they
like
got it right. They got the culture right, which is most important.
right, right, like you say. Speaking of you just mentioned about Culture Clash. You guys are celebrating a big anniversary.
Yes, our 40th anniversary. We started in 1984 in San Francisco's Mission District. We moved down to LA in the 90s, and we're still together. We're working a lot less. We're all doing our individual stuff. But yeah, it's 40th. We were going to celebrate our 40th anniversary on 4th of May at CSUN at the Soraya Theater.
Herbert, did you ever think to yourself when you were that kid that did you know that this was going to be your life? Did you ever, I mean, what is so different about what you thought yourself as a child to where you are today?
It's funny that you asked that. No, I've always knew I was going to be an artist. I always knew that, and I was already content with that, knowing that.
Mhm.
And the trick is, how to be a living artist. That's the trick, right? You can
Right.
be an artist, but can you make a living doing that? And I have. And so in that sense, I'm very successful. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yep.
to be able to live as an artist in this society is very difficult. But I've been blessed with some talent. I've been blessed with some people working around me, and we've been able to do it.
Well, he's going to do it up on stage over at the Irvine Barclay on Sunday, March 17th, 7 p.m. Herbert Siguenza as Pablo Picasso. Herbert, thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Have a great one.